Welcome to the most incredible marketing show ever. The show where each week a panel of respected marketing strategists, all trained and certified by the legendary Dan Kennedy, share their wisdom, experience, strategies, and insights on how to use Dan Kennedy's philosophy on business and marketing in any type of business, and that you can apply to your business immediately. Here's your host, Craig Valine.
Hi, everybody. It's Craig Valine with the most incredible marketing show ever. We have been focusing the month of February on a program created by Dan Kennedy called The Phenomenon. And the theme of the phenomenon was to achieve more in 12 months than the previous 12 years. And so there are 5 triggers to triggering the phenomenon. And we have focused on 4 of them throughout the month of February. And we're on our last one, number 5, which is building a support network of experts. And, I think what Dan Kennedy and Bill Glazer did when they created the Independent Business Advisor program and the local chapters was to create a local network of Dan Kennedy certified experts, but also to create a community where people could support each other and reach the goals of everything that we've been teaching along the way. So Dan Cricks, rumor has it you were one of the first people to sign up for the local chapters way back when in 2006. Can you talk about why you were sold on that concept, not only just because it was a connection to Dan Kennedy, but what it meant to your business and your clients and the members of it?
So let's clarify something. It's no rumor. I was the first. Okay? And I have verifiable proof. Okay.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
I will no longer use it's a rumor.
Thank you. So Craig, I was kind of doing what we do as IBAs a little bit on a small scale, basically out of demand. I was having some success doing what I was doing because I learned how to market from Dan Kennedy, and it was working well for me. And it was working well for me when the economy wasn't great. And so other people were noticing and they're going, wow, this is working really well. Would you help me with my business? And Dan said, marketing is marketing is marketing. So I said, okay, I'll do some of those. And I signed up like 3 or 4 people to help. And that's kind of how I came up with the attorney, by the way. But I didn't like how it was working. It was clunky. I just felt like I was spending too much time that I shouldn't. I didn't feel like I was making enough money. And then this program came out, and I immediately could see from what I read, and they basically put a sales letter in one of the newsletters, and the trigger for me was getting trained by Bill and Dan. And then having that structure in there for the program where we were getting fed leads. And that's what was appealing to me was we talked in past episodes about the right target, right? Going after the people that are looking for what you have to offer. And that's what this program delivered way back in the beginning. It delivered leads to us of people who had already raised their hand and said, I'm interested in marketing. I want to know more about marketing from across a number of different business types. And then they would send them to us, and we held our local chapter meetings. I still hold them, by the way, and invite them to come and learn more about what we were doing and get more in depth with them, and then take it from there. And I also started my mastermind group out of that. Right out of the very first meeting, I pitched a mastermind group. I may be a little slow, but I'm not that slow. And so within 2 months, I had a mastermind group going. So, but the biggest thing that appealed to me for it was, 1, it had structure, and 2, I was getting qualified leads delivered to me right to my door. Okay. And then from there, it was up to me to take it from there. And I could handle that once I got good leads sent to me. So that's what was appealing to me for the program.
So this topic is really about surrounding yourself with expert coaches and mentors. So, Becky, we were kind of talking about this before in previous episode. Is like sometimes we're attracted to people who say they're super successful, and then we find out that they're really not all that. So, how do we identify people who are the right experts, coaches, and mentors?
Yeah, I think. Look, if they have had a successful business, and that's the business that you want to get into, whether it's online or brick and mortar, then I would say they know the school of hard knocks, right? I can tell you exactly what not to do in a restaurant or a fire water restoration business or a construction business, because I actually started those and had 3 businesses. But for people that may not have that, look, they probably still know a lot, right? I mean, a lot of these people say they know a lot and, have a lot of people that are coming into their funnel because they're running Facebook ads or however they're getting them. But until if you have a referral from them, from somebody else that said, hey, I worked with them, they did a great job, here's what I liked about them, then I would say that's one of the good guys. But if you're just watching maybe a webinar or you're watching some YouTube videos and they're saying, yes, I helped over 10,000 entrepreneurs do this, that, or the other thing, and you don't know anybody that's actually worked for them and they're not supplying maybe testimonials or things like that, I would just say be cautious, do your homework. I Google everybody and see if there's any bad reviews about them out there before I spend my money with anybody. And so there's so many people that have gotten taken advantage of, and I just hate that. I hate that when there's people like us that are so passionate about helping people, and being trained by great influencers and copywriters and, people like Dan Kennedy and Bill Glazer, who are the best of the best and are still the best of the best. So I just say, be cautious, do your homework. There's a thing called Google that'll tell you pretty much what you need to know on any program out there that's being sold or suggested to you. So just be cautious. That's all.
Mike, you have belonged to some great masterminds, and you've created some great masterminds. What are some of the factors that made you join them or had members join yours?
Well, I think the leader, whoever the leader is. So yeah, I was in Bill Glazer's group for 3 or 4 years with Russell Brunson, Ryan Dice, some of those kind of folks. Karen Schaefer, who I just saw recently, by the way, she was in IBA in Colorado. I was in part of Dan Kennedy's, whatever you called it, Titanium, for a couple of years. So I think the attraction for both of those groups, and I was in Yannick Silver's too. So it was always the leader. I wanted to learn from those. In those cases, all those men. The focus, because there's different groups with different focuses, foci. So whatever that is. But one of the things I would say about mastermind groups, because I'm sure we'll probably talk about them, in this session. There's a lot. You need to go into those groups eyes wide open. You definitely want someone who's experienced. Mastermind groups can be a finicky thing. The leader has a huge impact on how it's run, the people that are in it. So I think those are all important things if you're thinking about a mastermind group. And then the last thing I'll say, Craig, to your previous question, I think time, like in the marketing world, in the business world, but especially the marketing world, time is the true. What's the word I'm thinking? It's really the truth. If someone's been around for a long time and they're doing good work, that's a pretty good testament that he or she knows what they're doing. We all know, everybody in this session right now knows people that we knew 20 years ago, in the Dan Kennedy, Bill Glazer world, that I don't know where they are now. So I think time, we've been doing this for years and years and years, all of us collectively. Do we ever do the math, Craig, to know what the total amount of experience is? But
no, it's worthwhile though.
See who's been around, talk to clients, customers, get referrals, do your research like Becky said, and that's how you can really at least minimize the risk.
Yeah, I mean, I've been involved with Dan since 1991, so I mean that's a long time. What, 28 years?
I mean, Kennedy
Now
really
it's 38.
38. Holy crap.
Yeah, Kennedy's done an amazing job, not just to blow smoke, because we're fans of Dan, but he has done such an amazing job building members like you, Craig, and creating relationships with guys like you that have lasted decades.
Well, I'm going to go to Richelle in a second, but one of the things that I realized that, my members stuck. They still have them for 15, 16 years since we started the chapter. And I think that local chapter helped us build relationships. Like, know, and trust. In fact, Mike, you have a book called Know, Like, and Trust, right? But the point is, everybody in my mastermind group felt like they were part of a family. And so we know masterminds, people typically don't stay longer than 1 or 2 years, typically. But when you have people in the group for 5, 10, 15 years, that says something about it. So the trust level, when people came and said, hey, tell me about this mastermind, should I join it? And you have people saying, Craig is awesome. Craig is part family, these types of things. That's what you look for. So, the relationships that build over time are incredible. And look at us, right? We stopped our local chapters a while ago. Dan and Becky are kind of still doing theirs, but the point is we've maintained contact and relationships together. And we created a mastermind together, an OG IBA mastermind. And then we said, how can we work together? And we created this podcast. I mean, that is the power of trust and the power of relationships go a real long way. Richelle, what do you have to say about this?
Building a support network of experts is, man, it's like, I don't always have to be the smartest person in the room. Right? I get to come to my friends and, now me and Craig have a spot. Like I go, hey, can you go to the spot this week? And he's like, oh, I can't do Tuesday. How about Wednesday? Whichever. And we go to the spot. It's an all you can eat Mexican food. And we sit there.
Of course it is.
Of course it is, right?
California.
Right? And by the end, like we both leave like with our action plan, right? And so having those trusted folks, like I have no problem to like call Mike Capuzzi and be like, hey, Mike, can I be on your podcast? Right? Like he doesn't have to prep me to be on the podcast, right? It's like if I want, anything about Dan Cricks, I can call him in a moment's notice. He'd take my call. Joe, if I needed anything with my CRM, hit Dolores, where I like know their wives, like it just becomes crazy amazing. And even with like Ben, it's like, if I just need anything, like he would always just be like, sure, hell yeah, Richelle. Like I would never have to sit and wonder, well, does he really know his shit? Does he not know his shit? Right. And that's because we've all been here for so long. I have to say that I did an event in Las Vegas. I don't even live there anymore, but that's where my chapter was. Right. And folks came to the event, crying, talking about Richelle changed my life. I mean, I'm like, I don't have to even do a pitch because my old members that, one of them, we went from 80,000 to 2 million. Another one, he was doing 125,000. He's 80 years old and his business is over 2.5 million. Now he's like, he's from Austria. He goes, exactly what that other guy said. Richelle's amazing. But it's building that relationship and knowing like people will show themselves. Like if you ask them a question and they go, right? Like I can ask everybody on this panel a question about marketing, about direct response marketing, about Dan Kennedy style marketing, about proven results, about return on investment, about if I had $500, how would you market this business? And they can give you 30 different ways of the best way to do that. That's everybody on this panel, right? Everybody on this panel. That's Becky. If she came to Vegas, man, she's like, hey, Richelle, we're there and we'd end up closing the bar with some wings and a good steak. But it just comes down to like everybody knowing it and that very, very quickly. It very, very quickly.
Well, think about it. how trusted we are among each other and among the community, the Dan Kennedy community, that when we have shown pictures of after Becky takes a screenshot of our mastermind, people say, I want to join. I want to be part of that network, right?
Yeah.
Because we have a reputation of who we are and what we do well. And that's very cool. Ben, there are people who are watching this who may not have a local chapter. They may not have a Dan Kennedy expert near them. What should they look for in a group to belong to locally, let's say? And if not, what can they do?
Yeah, well, first, obviously, see if the leader has a picture in front of a fancy car, and then run the other way. I'm kidding. No, it is about the results of who is out there doing it. Who is, you can tell by their marketing. Are they doing direct response marketing? Are they consistent in what they're doing, or are they kind of riding on the coattails of what they've done for the past 10 or 20 years? Like, are they active in looking at ways in which to pivot their business and changing economy? How did they do with COVID? How did they do with any of the other changes with AI, and all the things they're doing? Like, find people who are currently taking action. I mean, this goes back to just the principles of the phenomenon of action, massive action, and doing it in a way that's measurable. Who is trying to do this? And ideal is you can find some people locally that are doing it, but you might need to find some other groups that are going on online. Sometimes the price of admission for speed is you're going to have to find a group that you're going to invest in, and like we've already talked about on this podcast, the different criteria you're looking for in the leader and in who else is at the table. Pay for a seat at the table with a group that you resonate with a leader that has some current success, and go from there. Because the ideal is to have what selfishly what we have, which is we've built up this trust over years. We can call each other on things and help each other, but that doesn't happen overnight. So if you do want to have that big next step in what you're doing, you might have to invest in a group, be a part of that, and then from there build those relationships, or get out to events and build relationships there. But I think it all starts with relationships, because none of this happens in a vacuum. It comes from bouncing ideas off of people, from hearing what's working for them. What hasn't worked for them is sometimes even more of an indicator, and finding people to go along the journey with you.
Hold on, Dan. I'm going to come to you. We have to take a quick break. I forgot to do this because we have a very important sponsor message for this episode. We'll be right back.
This episode of the most incredible marketing show ever is sponsored by Richelle Shaw and her new book, $1 Million Partnerships. You can grab the $1 Million Partnerships Accelerator Kit at www.milliondollarpartnerships.com. That's www.milliondollarpartnerships.com. Now, back to the show.
Hey.
All right, Dan Cricks, what do you have to say?
Well, to the question you asked Ben about where can he go if they don't have a local. First of all, groups like this and the groups like what we have hosted over the years aren't available everywhere. They just flat out aren't. Okay, and they're valuable and they're worth it. It's worth the investment if you have to drive a little bit or go a little bit to get those groups. I had a mastermind member came from Indiana, and I'm in Northern Ohio. It was a 5-hour drive for him. He was happy to do it, okay, because there wasn't anything near him. One from Western PA came. One from the Western, almost into Michigan, came to my mastermind group. And I'm not saying that to pump up my mastermind group. What I'm saying is you may not have somebody locally, but if it's a couple 3-hour drive, it's worth it. Becky and I used to go back and forth between our groups, our masterminds would meet a couple times a year. I would go there, hers would come. It was always well worth the drive. And my folks loved it because they had access to some more people. And I know there were times that people in my group would call people in her group a month, 2 months, 3 months afterwards and say, hey, what about this? And that's there's, you can't put a value on it. That's priceless to be able to have that, to do like Richelle said before, to be able to reach out to somebody that you can trust. You know, if I referred somebody to one of you, I would have no qualms about how it would work out.
Right.
We all have been leery about sometimes referring, right?
Right.
But when you can do that without having a thought about it, hey, you'll be in good hands, go see her or go see him. And so maybe you can't find it locally, but look, if you got to travel a little bit, do it.
Hey, Craig, you know, one of the things too, that there's a lot of people who say they have a mastermind, a lot of these online folks,
Right,
who've never read Think and Grow Rich. And they don't understand how to run a mastermind. So can you just like tell people like how a mastermind's supposed to be run?
Well, you know, when we started the local chapter, we had no idea about how to run a mastermind. I don't know if that specific training was ever given to us, except for the video modules to share at the mastermind meetings. So, you know, we basically went around the table, let everybody share for a given period of time. So in our case, we had 10 members in our mastermind and everybody got 30 minutes with a timer up on the projector. And part of that 30 minutes is to get feedback. So you've got to be succinct and clear about, this is what's going on in my business. These are the challenges. These are the opportunities. What I need help with is this. And so really the power of the mastermind is having more than one person. It's like two minds make a meeting, right? Two or more minds together. And there's some sort of energy that comes together that, you know, the phenomenon has achieved more in 12 months than in the previous 12 years. I used to say, join my mastermind and get more done in a month than you will the whole year. Because that's my people in my mastermind got things done, or else they didn't belong to the mastermind. So if you want to get stuff done, join a mastermind. But it's really about, everybody has slightly different experiences, but we all come from the same philosophy of the Dan Kennedy way for us in this case, right? Our Dan Kennedy philosophy, marketing philosophy. But everybody has a unique philosophy, their unique experiences that they can share and offer tips. One business may not be anything like the other, but they say, hey, try this. We did this in our veterinary practice. Try this in your dental practice. You know, that sort of thing. Like referrals, like getting appointments, confirming, although, you know, whatever it is. But that really accountability as well. It's like, hey, what will you accomplish in the next 30 days? So when you come back in the next 30 days, we're going to see if you got it done or what you got done, that sort of thing. So
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Hey, Joe, how did you do yours? I know I'm just being the host.
You're co-hosting at the moment. So
yeah,
she called on you, Joe. What's your thoughts on this?
I just wanted to add, you know, it's the person who's going into a mastermind for the first time should look at it and see, what can I, one, learn from it, but two, how can they help me? All right. And are they willing to help me? And I think those are some of the important things here. A number of times when I've had somebody come for the first time, the members besides myself will sit there and say, what are your challenges? What are you trying to do? How can we help you? And now all of a sudden, this person starts to realize, I've got people here in my area that can help me, and they are a great resource. You know, we can all read books, we can all, you know, look at videos online, but working together as a group, we can solve problems together and make more money together. So that's really what it's all about. I mean, as you said, Craig, too, if it's somebody that they just every month they come in with a new shiny object, that's not the type that you want. But you want some people who are going to take some actions based on what they learned. Because we, as a group in the mastermind, feel good to see that person being successful as well.
Excellent. So Dan, hold on. We're going to go around, wrap up, because we're in our last few minutes here of the podcast. what is your advice, tips, experience, things you want to say to somebody who's looking for an expert, a coach, a mentor, or a group to belong to? Dan, go ahead.
Wow. So I think it's been said a few times, do your homework. But here's something else I would say to you. On our website, you have access to everyone's information here. And I think if you went to, I know if you went to me, and I'm sure everyone else would say the same, and say, hey, I'm looking for somebody that does this in this area, Alaska, whatever. Do you know anybody? There's a good place to start, okay? Because we cover, when you were introducing where everybody was from in the beginning, we've got East Coast, we've got West Coast, we've got Midwest, we've got people in the South. So we've got it all covered, and for as long as we've been there, and maybe I won't know the answer, but I might say, hey, you know who probably knows somebody? Call Richelle or check with Richelle, or Becky has done a lot in Florida. Give her a call. If I don't know it, good chances are I'm going to be able to direct you to someone. Okay. And so if you can find somebody in the Dan Kennedy world, it's a good place to start. Okay. But again, you got to do your homework. And one of the things I'm big on is I generally don't like to take anything new on unless I can have somebody that I can talk to about it that has had an experience with that group or that individual in the past.
Amen to that. Mike, last words on finding an expert, coach, or mentor, or joining a group?
Yeah, I mean, I think Russell, who's now the most current owner of the Dan Kennedy, world, if you will, is resurrecting the Super Conference. I think we were just talking about whether it's in May. So I think that would be a starting point for a lot of folks. I know one of the guys that's from my list who's listening to this show, he's already signed up to go to that. It'll be his first Super Conference. I'm sure there's going to be, opportunities to learn about groups there. But I would just leave this thought, Craig. I mean, truly a really good mastermind group with, we've all been parts of groups where it just gels, even like what we have here. It is a very cool experience that cannot even be described in words. You just feel it. You feel vibrant. You feel alive. And then there's that give and take, which we really didn't talk. A true mastermind group is about giving and taking. Right. So it's not just taking from the group. It's about giving back. But I would highly encourage, when I first started way back in 2006, so I wasn't number one like Dan Cricks, but I was pretty close there. I can remember my very first Glazer Kennedy meeting was the Millionaire one, Renegade Millionaire. Yeah. I remember driving out to Cleveland and going to that thing. And I met some people that I am still friends with today. I became friends with Ben Glass. Ben Glass and I started just a peer-to-peer mastermind group. Not every group has to be a paid group, by the way. You can have peer-to-peer. So, start your own. If you can find something, find some other smart people and really just, it's this collective effort of the brain energy of a smart group of people.
Excellent advice. Becky.
Yeah, so I'll just pile on with what Dan and Mike said. I'm right with Dan. I still run a now virtual, chapter meeting. So everyone's welcome to join. It's nobsmarketingmeeting.com. I teach a new topic every month. It's free. If you're a member, you get lots of extra stuff, but you don't have to be. Just show up. I think Dan and I are probably neck and neck with, I think I just tallied up because we started about the same time, and I'm at between seminars, marketing meetings, workshops, mastermind meetings, whatever you want to call them, I'm at 441 plus since 2006. So
I counted mine's 442.
Oh, I know how you are. He's lying. But since I'm back and forth now between Pittsburgh and Jupiter, Florida, I have to go all online. But I will tell you, in person, if you can do in person, it's better. It just is. It just is. You make better connections. My people who are still with me are like, are you ever going to resurrect the in-person? I'm like, yeah, if you want to do the 6 months when I'm in Florida. I want to say one thing, though. I had a member in my mastermind who paid and she showed up every time and she didn't do a lick of work. One time out of probably 3 years, she produced a newsletter and she brought it. She was very proud of it. And I was proud of her for doing it. But some people just want to belong and they're not going to be an action taker. And that's okay too, because she was very good about giving advice and helping the other people in the group, but she just wanted to say she was a member. And so I kept her because she was very helpful. And you'll have those people, and Dan Kennedy, I think, talked about that a lot, that not everybody's going to be kind of like me, the Energizer Bunny, right? But she showed up, and when it was her turn, she gave great feedback. And she didn't do a lot to help her business grow, but she helped a lot to help other people's businesses grow. And that's okay too. So I just wanted to point that out, that not everybody has to, show up with something done. Some people just want to belong, and that's all right.
Bill Glazer shared with us at I think it was a 2008 IBA training. He said 3 reasons people join anything. Three reasons. They have one or more of these reasons. Number one, they want to. They're looking for help. They need help, so they go to a group to get a result. Right. Number 2 is they want to belong, and number 3 is they want to show off. And so the local chapter helped us really appeal to those people who wanted to show off. Look what I've done. Look what I've accomplished. All that stuff. So you're very right. People have different reasons and different value for being in a group. Joe, any last advice on choosing an expert mentor or group to belong to?
I just, going back to what I said before, I want to look at a group that's open and willing to talk to you, they're willing to help you. They in a way, they actually care. Again, it's all about that. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. And you're going to end up sharing with them because you're going to say, so what do I really know that they don't, that they probably already do? And you'll be surprised when you sit there and say something. I never gave that an idea before. So, it'll happen.
Awesome. Richelle, last words.
Yeah, shameless plug, right? So I actually do have one that's all just focused on strategic partnerships. In that mastermind, everybody shares their database, they share what they're doing, they share who they're looking for, and we kind of sort of matchmake. So if you are looking to get clients through strategic partners, please go to one of those links somewhere, and let's have a conversation. But just make sure that in your mastermind you get to talk. Yeah. There's a lot of folks out there that they don't allow the business owner to talk. It's just them teaching, and they call it a mastermind. That's not. When 2 or more are gathered, right? What it says in the Bible that we all have that's make sure that you get to talk and share your experience and share what's going on in your business so that you can leave with a clear action plan. And so that's one of the things that I've found out there in those internet streets, folks who think that they know, but they really don't know. They just took the name and have moved on from there. So that's my best tip. And we love y'all for free. And any person on this panel, if you get into any of their groups, man, you're a rock star. Next year, you will love your business.
Amen. Ben, close us out with a tip on how to choose an expert, mentor, or group.
Thanks, Craig. The Dan Kennedy principle, which I think we've mentioned on a previous episode, is good enough. So find a good group to join and do it. Don't wait around until you think you found the perfect one or just the right whatever. Like take the step forward, get in a group. If it's hopefully it'll be a great fit. If it's not, you'll still get something out of it, and you can tweak in the next group that you join. But do something. Take some kind of an action. Surround yourself by people who are going to both challenge you and encourage you, because that's going to be the fuel that keeps you moving forward. The life of an entrepreneur can be kind of lonely. Like that's, I think, why a lot of us started our local groups, was just to have some of these like-minded people around us. So put yourself, like Richelle said, where 2 or 3 are gathered, like get in the room, get in the space, and be around other people moving in the same direction.
Bill Glazer said the successful entrepreneur is the loneliest person in the world. And again, that is why I think they created these local chapters so that we could bring us all together and talk the same language and share our feelings, because we all feel the pain of our fellow entrepreneurs because we've been there, right?
Yeah.
The last thing I want to say about a mastermind group is one thing that Napoleon Hill says: there must be harmony in the mastermind group. You know, if you have someone in a group that's not causing harmony, then you either have to ask them to not be part of it, or you may have to choose to be part of another group. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're at the end of this episode. And if you have found anything valuable in this, which there was 1,000 things said here that are valuable, but if you connected with any one of our expert panel of Dan Kennedy certified IBAs, their information is in the description of this broadcast, of this podcast. And it's also available on their website. But we also have a free gift for everybody from each of us. So please go to that. You can get it at mostincrediblemarketingshowever.com, mostincrediblemarketingshow.com, and just connect with them. Find your way, or just keep on coming back and listening to the show because it's pretty darn good. I love it. So that is all. Thank you, everybody, for being part of this. All my expert panel, my IBAs, my OGs. And thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on our next episode next Thursday. Thanks so much.
All right. Have a good one, everybody.
See ya.
Thank you for joining us this week on The Most Incredible Marketing Show Ever. New episodes are available every week on Thursdays. To receive a free gift pack from our expert panelists and get access to show notes from previous episodes, be sure to visit our website, www.mostincrediblemarketingshowever.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and click the bell up in the right-hand corner to be notified of future episodes so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate you clicking the like button and leaving a comment on what big aha you got during the show. That's it for today's episode. See you next week.